If you'll just give me a moment, I am going to post this really quickly. So I will be right back. Okay. All right. Those that are here, if you don't mind, actually hang on. I'm going to plug in my microphone. If you guys don't mind, just let me know. Okay. All right. Welcome, my loves. Hello. Welcome, Mina. Hey, Becca. Okay. I got my microphone plugged in. Can you ladies hear me okay? I'm so grateful to have so many coming in here from the space. It's wonderful. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome, Aurora. Thank you all for joining. And thank you for letting me know. We'll just, give it a moment to go live. Give everyone from the group that had agreed to join an opportunity to drop in. And really filling into what's going to come through today. I know I felt the guidance to come live, and my hair is getting all in my face. I really feel like I'm handing that over to God and allowing God to speak through me. And that's something I am going to speak into here in the live today. So I've got something on my phone, you guys, and just bear with me. Okay, there we go. Wonderful. Okay, so here in about another minute, I'm just going to start speaking into things. I know at approximately about 5 minutes is when people start dropping in. Oh, let me fix my chat. And I am going to have to fix that door, so it's not letting me adjust the chat like normal. That's gonna be an issue later on. Oh well, I guess not. Okay, I see where I can take it off. So okay, welcome everyone. 1 second, I got to close this door. The wind's blowing it open. And it is a massively heavy door, so I gotta make sure. I guess that would probably work. I don't really want to use an axe. That's my luck. That axe would fall over and break something. I guess that'll work. Okay. All right. Hello and welcome. So, if you guys noticed the description, in the description, I have the words learning what's really being stored in your body. And this is going to be basically what we're reviewing today. And just to let everyone know as you're dropping in, and as you're joining this, and I will probably mention this a few times throughout this because it is a public live. People are going to drop in, people are going to drop in the chat, people are going to be saying all kinds of things. So if you start to spam or you start to dump some unwanted trash into the chat. This is a space for self-development, self-realization, learning what somatic practices are, really having a better understanding of yourself through self-mastery, and really learning what that application looks like. So welcome. Is that you, Sama? Sama Sol? Is that Sama from my group? If it is, welcome. um, So for those, like I said, for those that are here, for those that choose to remain, just please be respectful in the chat because I will kick you. I will block that from the chat. So it's just really pointless. Let's keep it clean. Let's keep it compassionate. And, I am fully open to exchanging if you have questions. That's why I leave the chat open, because a lot of times people will drop in and they will have questions or they would want me to further clarify something. And I love having an opportunity to do that. So we're going to be exploring the way, like, what is somatics? What does that mean? I know that word is used a lot in, shall we say, a lot of new age practices, a lot of healing or healing modalities. Okay, good. Welcome, Sama. So I'm going to go into what that is and how we actually live in a state that's so unconscious to feeling. We think we know what we're feeling, but there are so many subtle nuances to how your body stores emotion, how your nervous system represents you when you speak. Even just a choice to drop in things into a chat when you come onto a live, it speaks volumes to who you are. It speaks to, where your focus is in life, what you think about yourself. Even if the comment is directed towards me, it's a direct reflection of yourself. When you project outwards like that, you're coming from something deep within yourself that doesn't fully see itself clearly, or it doesn't see how it is connected to everyone and everything. So in my own training, what I learned as a life coach, as someone that is, trained in somatics, that is a worldview. Okay. It's the filter in which you see reality. And this all begins in your childhood, and even what you've inherited through your childhood. We inherit memories from our family line, even if you did not live your father's life or your mother's life. Those emotional memories are passed down through your bloodline. So when you were in your mother's womb and your mother was under emotional stress, somatically, vibrationally, that is connected to you. Even though I could get into some deeper truths about what reality is, I want to just kind of keep it focused in a very specific way. You guys have probably heard me say, well, your mother doesn't really carry you in the womb. That still holds true. Just, I want you to recognize I still accept that as truth, but I want to just keep it very simple. If your mother and your father had an argument while she was pregnant with you, her impression of your father in that moment, through her worldview, through her lens, through her emotional perception, her emotional integrity, it's passed down to you. You begin to build through your own sensory perception, because you got to remember, your nervous system is the very first thing that is created in the womb. That is your source of intelligence. It is the bridge between the higher and the lower. Your nervous system is the bridge between you and God. Your nervous system is the bridge between you and the physical world. And even though you are not actually of the physical world, you are playing in the reality of physical experience. And what this means is that you're experiencing reality based on on mental and emotional perception, which comes through in the physical domain. So if throughout your life you have grown up in an environment where emotions were not acceptable, where certain parts of your voice were not allowed, where you were told not to be so excited, right? We have so many diagnoses in the world. We've got ADHD, we've got depression, we've got bipolar, we've got borderline personality disorder, we've got medical conditions like cancer and psoriasis, and we've got, I mean, literally, they have a diagnosis. I call it diagnosis, but they have a diagnosis for everything, for every sensation, for every symptom. And yes, it's exactly, it's about trauma. And trauma, speaking of trauma, trauma is an emotional perception. Trauma doesn't, it's not what happens to us, it's not actually happening to us, but it's our perception of the event through an emotional lens. So our body is attempting to process something that it does not at that moment have the tools to process. And so we store it so that we can revisit it at a later time. That's trauma. And of course, we go through our life without having access to those tools. For the most part, more and more of that is becoming available. So honestly, younger generations are now having access to something that many of us did not have access to growing up. And so when we look at the way that that's actually passed through the medical field, going to talk therapy, which I'm not, again, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not giving medical advice. What I am offering is an option. It's just a different opportunity. It's here for you. You can receive it as you will. But I never want anyone to discount the medical part, because if you're in a belief system that requires that, then you have to experience that reality that way, because that's what you're choosing. Okay. So, I'm going to get into that actually, Darth. I'm going to get into the addictive behaviors and what that really is, because I have had that in my reality. I was an addict, quote unquote. I'm not a addict. I was a perceived addict for my total, like my entire adult life. So I will get into that. So in the medical community, obviously, when you have a sensation, I can tell you right now what my response mechanism was. If something was happening in my body, my first intention, my first compulsion is, what's wrong? Pain, what's wrong? A cough, a sore throat, okay, what's wrong? What's going on? What do I have? What's happening in my body? That used to be my response mechanism. If I had a inflammation, I used to have inflammation in my spleen. I assumed that was something, at the very beginning, that something was wrong, because we are taught to analyze what is happening through the analytical mind. You have the analytical mind, the emotional mind, the somatic mind, but your analytical mind wants to attach a story to what's happening, even though the story is already underneath what's happening. So when you have discomfort, when you have pain, when you have inflammation, when you have perceived ailments like the flu, strep, cancer, psoriasis, and autoimmune diseases, all of that is a disruption in your nervous system. That's all it is. It is a space where your emotions were not processed, and they're looping. They're looking for an outlet because they do not know what an outlet looks like. So in a moment of extreme fear, in a moment of anger and aggression, in a moment of exceptional grief, usually it happens through grief or resentment. Those are the two main outlets, grief and resentment. We're going to take one of those two, or maybe a little bit of both, and it hardens. It reaches our heart. These emotions are trying to flow up and out because we move from the bottom up with emotions. And if there's no outlet, everything starts to build up, and it starts to crystallize, metastasize. Then your pathways, that bridge between higher and lower, starts to become entangled. And it is about recognizing mental habits, but I want to take it's actually more than that. And this is where most people get stuck, is believing that it's the mental that is creating it. It's not. It's the emotional. But people get stuck in the mental process. That's where I got stuck. That's why recently I have taken on the mentors that I have taken on because I was looping in a state of know-it-all, like, oh, I know what it's about. I know how to do the somatics. I had applications and practices, and I've been taught it, but just because you learn it one way doesn't mean you've learned it every way. At the same time, it also doesn't mean you need to go into trying to learn it a million different ways, because then you're just, speaking of addiction, then you're hopping on the train of needing to fill the void of whatever you think you're missing. So there's a fine nuance there. But emotions are where everything begins. That is, everyone has a specific emotional event in their past that begins building the basis for how their nervous system is going to operate through their entire life. And that is considered a traumatic event. It's called a C, a specific emotional event. That's where people begin to live from effect instead of from cause, which means that this is happening to me because of this. This person said this, made me feel this way, and now I feel this way, and it's because of them. I got in a car wreck, and it injured my body, and because it injured my body, I have pain. That's the story. That's the effect of the causation, but that's not the whole truth. What happens in that original event, which also starts to build your addictive behaviors, because addiction has nothing to do with anything in the physical. It has nothing to do with drugs. It has nothing to do with alcohol. It has nothing to do with food. It has nothing to do with sex. Those are outlets. Addiction is a disruption. It's that emotional event that disrupted the nervous system. It's trying to fill a void. It's trying to pull something out of nothing, because you can't get anything out of the physical realm. It's there to show you what you have within your internal realm. That's what it's there to do. That way you can interact with your own self through a physical mirror. It's just mirroring to you what's in here. But because that first emotional event is actually happening through, like, your hippocampus, your prefrontal cortex, your amygdala, they're all shutting down. So it restricts the size of the brain. It restricts the capacity of the nervous system to feel with clarity. And because all five senses are actually playing the game of the perception, you're all that moment is actually being fragmented. It's being fragmented from each of the senses. So you're getting like a partial view of the event. That's why most people attempt to approach traumatic healing from that mental state, because they think if they're just able to see it, they can figure it out. But you don't see yourself clearly. You never saw yourself clearly from the very first event, because the emotion, the perception of the emotion fractalized. Like what I tell my clients, it's like taking a stained glass window that has a beautiful picture and smashing it with a hammer and watching the pieces go everywhere. That's what happens through your senses, and that's your snapshot of that moment. And because you do not understand how to process the emotions, it's fragmented through the senses. So therefore, the picture of the moment, the image that you have, the memory that you have is fractalized. You're not seeing the whole truth. So therefore, you end up manipulating the story. You end up basically taking parts of it, not all of it. So you're basically only seeing a portion, a very limited portion. And as you're only seeing that limited portion is being filtered through the five senses, and each of the five senses are only hearing through the manipulation. They're only hearing through the lack of truth, right? You're not seeing the full picture. So in terms of it being stored, it's actually stored immediately. It actually, what it does is it's held, and your nervous system is sending signals all the time. And so it's already becoming intertwined in your fascia, because your nervous system passes through every part of your body. It's interlinked. So you're already receiving it. So therefore, I'll give you an example. When I was in my own somatic practice in this group that I'm a part of, and I have two amazing, and they're male mentors, and they're fantastic. As I'm receiving through them, and one of my mentors is sharing his story about how he was going through his own mentorship of somatics and the things that were coming to the surface. as he was sharing his story about being in a car wreck and and some other situations that had happened when he was younger, he did not remember that car wreck until another emotional trigger appeared. So he had an emotional reaction to something that had to do with his mentor that started leading him in the process of reflecting on the emotion. That emotion led him deeper. Like, obviously, the event with his mentor in the moment was completely different. He wasn't thinking about the wreck, but that emotional trigger was leading him deeper into his body to one of the sources of the trigger. One of those was connected to the wreck. Then that went further back to when he was younger in childhood and witnessed some things. And then that went further back. That's the matrix. That's the what I call the memory matrix, where your memories are all linked together through a timeline, a line, a frequency of perception. And this perception is built on that emotional event that began in childhood. This is where addictive behaviors begin. This is how bypassing happens, because when you have that, when you experience that disruption, your body does not know what to do with it, and it's constantly seeking it. So this is where inflammation shows up in your muscles and in your tissues and in your blood and in your body. It's where your body is attempting to process, but it cannot. And I forgot that I had had these car wrecks. I mean, I've remembered them a few times, but I had not faced them in the way that I was able to in that moment. My body started shaking. I started realizing that my body was leaning away like this. So your body goes through a natural process in somatics where you do not control the body. The body is opening and moving on its own. Your body is intelligent. Okay. So you're not controlling the way the body moves. The body is literally releasing the impact of the moment. So I noticed how my body was moving away because the impact of my wreck happened on the right side. And I realized that that's why this right arm feels cold. That's why it feels like it's like there's all this stuff missing in here. And again, I've done my own work on this. I offer this. I still didn't see it all. Why? Because somatics is having someone witness you in the process of witnessing yourself internally, and that person is reflecting back to you the subtle nuances that you cannot see because your eyes are closed. That's why you don't do this on your own. You can't. You cannot see yourself in the process of remembering yourself. That's why we have the physical. So again, your physical world is reflecting it back to you. Someone that practices like we do is witnessing it for you and with you and through you, and using themselves as the mirror to reflect that back and say, okay, let's be aware of this. Let's be aware of this. And if we have some time today, I do have one of my own clients that is volunteer to show you guys what that looks like. That way, in case anyone is ever interested in stepping into this work, you have an opportunity to do so. Even if you're just listening to this, if you carry a similar event, your body will recognize it because you are connected frequentially to that same emotional response. So you can witness someone going through a somatic practice and have a somatic release. It's that powerful because your body is intelligent. It knows that vibration. It knows that feeling. It recognizes it. And so when I have had those in my other group that have witnessed those in the group going through it, there have been realizations simply from witnessing. Now, obviously, the deepest parts of it come through when you do it for yourself individually. So my body has been like a closed fist. Parts of it has opened, but parts of it have not, because I required somebody else to guide me through what I could not see on my own. I can't sit there and stare at myself in the mirror, plus internally reflect and go through the process of the memory, because I need to be fully surrendered to the memory. Think about it. During a traumatic event, no, it's an actual car wreck. I was in two really bad car wrecks. The very first one, this was when I was taking drugs. I was on my way to the methadone clinic and I was speeding. I was putting my makeup on while driving, being exceptionally irresponsible. And had my little mirror pulled down, my visor mirror, putting on my makeup, and I ran off the road just enough to hit the gravel, and I started spinning out of control. And I went through a fence that was surrounding a farm, and my car was. Of course, this is all divinely orchestrated. My car was spinning in a very specific direction. I believe it was spinning to the left, and a the fence post came through my front windshield and skimmed the side of my head and went into the car seat. My head just happened to be leaning to the left. If my head was going to the right, it would have impaled me. That was the first one. So the impact from that was pretty intense, but the second wreck was more. The second wreck, again, going to the methadone clinic, running late because, again, addictive behaviors are not responsible behaviors. It's not the medicine, it's not the drug, it's what you do when you are like, who are you when you make the choice? Are you making a choice from responsibility, responsive action, intentional, purposeful, or are you just bypassing it altogether? Obviously, I was bypassing. And so hello and welcome. So as I'm running, I'm almost there, I'm running late. I know if I don't get there that they're not going to give me my dose. I run a red light. I run a red light going about 75, 80 miles an hour, and a lady T-bones me, pushes me across 4 lanes of traffic, and I am pinned in between the light post in her car, and the engine's in my lap. Some of the engine goes through my leg, it crushes my hips, breaks my hands, breaks my nose, some stuff in my face. I mean, I had a lot of broken bones. I had, up until now, I had not remembered a lot of that because the pain was so intense. I just passed out. And the only thing I remember is like the nurse telling me, if you do not breathe, I'm going to have to put this breathing tube in you. I'm going to give you one more opportunity, because I was going in and out of consciousness. And that stuck me, because in college, when I was going to college, I was in college for forensic pathology. And in the whole medical field, I'm very well aware of what's that whole process is like, and I didn't want to go through it. So I just said, okay, no. That brought me far enough to where I was on oxygen, but I didn't get a breathing tube. So I had to learn how to walk again. There was, again, on that right side, everything was coming in from that right side. You could say there's some symbology to that, but without getting too far off course, I would say the symbol is that there is a part of me that is set up to avoid emotional impact. And the wreck is the reflection of my avoidance of the emotional impact. And so what tends to happen is then we start seeing the impact coincide with us in the physical. I ended up in a highly abusive relationship just a few years ago. I was homeless. I was still taking drugs. I would wake up in the middle of the night and he would be choking me out just because he had a dream that I cheated on him. I would wake up I was pregnant at the time. I would get up to go to the bathroom. He would come in the bathroom and just start beating me because I took too long, and he blamed me. He said I was cheating on him with his grandfather. I mean, it was just super psychosis stuff. Not on him. He's just a projection of my own inner state of poverty. I used to call him a narcissist and I used to blame him, but it's not him. He could not show up in my reality if I did not call it in. So when I get that intense and that personal, when I get that close to physical contact in that way, it's because I am avoiding, and they're known as avoidance styles, but I want everyone to be aware that you are not your avoidance style. It's just a pathway of choice. That's all it is. Just like you're not an addict, you're not depressed, you're not avoidant, you're not anxious. So avoidant and anxious are the attachment styles, meaning I'm basically attached to being avoidant. I don't want to feel. Or when I get called into feeling, I get really anxious and I get really nervous because I'm scared. I'm scared it's going to hurt. I'm scared it's going to be painful. So we usually end up stopping at that attachment style. But the truth is that we just haven't learned how to be in a safe space of receiving ourselves. That's why I love somatics, because you have someone there holding you, supporting you. And I know, even though what I lived through was exceptionally horrific, it was also exceptionally beautiful. I went over the threshold of fear. I lived in terror. I literally was meeting death every day. And then I was finally just going to take my life, because at that point I didn't give a shit, whether I lived and died. I was in so much shame. I was in so much anger. I even had homicidal thoughts as a child. I have not realized the depth that my anger went, you guys, until I had someone point it out for me through them. Like when they're sharing their story, and I'm like, shit, that was me. Like, that's me. I had forgotten all about it. I had suppressed it. I was connecting my anger back to childhood, but not that far back, not that deep. And now I see that I've carried it with me. I inherited it, but it doesn't have to be mine any longer. But in order for me to release it, I have to face it. And facing it, I thought for the longest time I was doing that. I thought, and you guys that have been around me for years, you guys know that I've had a really big, many ego deaths recently to really stand in the presence of others that have applied this for longer than me, have gone deeper than me, have surrendered themselves to God, source, universe in a way that I haven't. And to be exceptionally uncomfortable in that, and to see that I can be exceptionally uncomfortable and super safe at the same time. And I feel like a lot of times we're so scared to feel because we're afraid of what's going to come after that, or we're living in this expectation. So when it comes to self-medicating, I want you to recognize that self-medicating is just simply a symptom of something much deeper. And what is it that you're trying to get out of the medication? Welcome, Spartan. For me, I was trying to get feeling. So I want to share something else. What's really interesting, what happens with your body in that very first emotional event, that traumatic emotional event, your body is releasing hormones under stress. When your body is releasing hormones under stress, the sensation is the same sensation an addict gets when they go to take a hit. So think about that. We all have at least one traumatic event in our lifetime. Many of us, many more than that. But just that one traumatic event, which is a perceived emotional experience that was not fully processed, your emotions then activate. And you're not alone. I feel you. I feel you. And by the way, let me finish this and I'm going to get into that. And with the trauma, okay, so let me take some things really quick here and I'm going to address what you guys are speaking into. So in that moment, your body is releasing hormones under stress. Stress oxidizes, okay? It breaks your body down. The cells cannot operate in their vibrational coherence when there is a signal that is sending distress all the time. So is your brain activated? Yes, but your brain is always active. It's the type of activation. So when your prefrontal cortex, your amygdala, and your hippocampus are sending these signals, they're sending them from a space that is restricted. Literally over time, your brain starts to shrink. That's how we get the diseases in the elderly people that we see, where their brains are starting to deteriorate because the signal, the intrinsic coding that your cells operate from their original state, they cannot access it. And they cannot access it because your hormones, which are an intrinsic part of your feeling, are only happening from stress. So yes, it is overly sensitized, but the part of that it is part of your brain, but let's also, let's leave it simple, but let's also not make it where it's so common that we need to just accept it. Because I feel like it's just such an, like, everyone has it and most people do not want to address it. That's where self-medicating comes in. That's where being addicted to your phone comes in, because the only hit that you can associate with, the only emotional, hormonal experience that actually affects you is the one that's linked to bypassing, because that's what happens in that moment of distress where your nervous system is literally it has a disruption in the flow. So what happens is it's like glue, it's like sticky, it's like your hormones start sticking, like building, crystallizing, metastasizing, and your body goes through a process like in somatics, where when you start to face and feel the moment fully, because in that moment of impact, in that moment of trauma, you shut down. And what you mentioned about being hypersensitive in that moment, that is absolutely true. And at the same time, because you're hypersensitive, you're going through your life hypersensitive, you're just waiting. You're waiting for something to happen. You're looking, your nervous system is just always in a state of distress. It's looking for something bad to happen. It's waiting for something bad to happen. What if this person does something to me? What if something happens to me on the train? What if somebody breaks into my house at night? Even if those are even though if nothing like that has ever happened, you start attaching the very first event to every other event in the world that could possibly be bad. And then you are operating on a consistent state of sensitized expectation, just waiting for something bad to happen. That's why we self-medicate. That, and plus we're trying to feel more because we haven't ever felt fully. And I literally never thought, and you guys, I'm still working through cleansing my system fully. There are still addictive behaviors that I have. Okay. Because I still have this bracing for impact in my body, going to bed at night like a closed fist. And because I have so many layers of compacted trauma, it's going through layer by layer. I still reach for my phone when my body wants to feel. I still reach to help others when my body wants me to reach for myself. Okay, that's an addictive behavior. It's where I'm moving away from what my body's asking of me into what's going to keep me from feeling what my body's asking of me. So I want you to just pay attention to what one addictive behavior is that you have. And I would invite you to focus on just letting go of it, just practicing. And that happens through daily micro adjustments, micro alignments. Obviously, if you can work with someone in somatics or you can work with a coach, that's going to be so supportive. I did it. I did at the beginning, and then I did it for a few years, and now I am again. And my world is just blown open. I mean, I woke up for the first 3 days. I woke up with a massive migraine, massive tension in my body, taking Tylenol, Benadryl, everything I could because my body just felt so out of whack. At the same time, I was feeling more than I ever had. I was facing a memory, and when you live a memory fully, your body goes through the process that it did not get to do the first time. So for instance, when I was being woken up by my ex in the middle of the night, and he was strangling me and he was punching me, spitting on me, part of me closed off from that so I wouldn't have to experience it fully. The only way that I can be in true forgiveness is if I can live through that moment fully and let my body go through the process of feeling it. So this means I get to see the entire event play out. I get to hear, feel, and see what is happening so that I don't further disassociate. Exactly. Because disassociation leads to further, it's basically a rejection of the self. And I can say right now, faith is a massive cornerstone. And I'm not pushing religion on anybody. I'm just speaking what has been necessary for me. I've always had difficulty handing control over because my entire life has been formulated around what I thought I needed to do, the way I thought I needed to do it to get a certain outcome. But I have never really ever gotten the things that I really needed from that. I'm not living the full life that I've always wanted. Maybe bits and pieces every now and then. And the reason why is because I was unwilling to fully surrender myself to God's source universe, to faith, to saying, okay, you know what? I surrender this. Like, I need help. I surrender this. I try so hard to do it on my own, coming from the whole coaching scenario, right? Being seen as someone that's got it all together, that's spiritual, but that's bullshit. I don't want to be seen as having it all together. I just want to share where I am right now and hope that that helps somebody else. I don't want to be seen as someone that knows it all because that doesn't help anyone. Anyone can sit down and hear this, read a book, listen to a meditation. They can take in all the information and know what they're hearing, but do they really understand what that means? Meaning, my mentor says it beautifully, meaning and having the understanding of the meaning. I've always said it's lived truth, which is true. But what he said is it's like being told your whole life what honey tastes like, but never actually having tasted honey. But you go around and telling people how great honey is, even though you've never actually tasted honey. It's exactly like that. So you can know everything, but until you live the experience of it, that knowing's only going to get you so far. And you're going to be telling everybody in the world how much you know about honey. And then one day somebody's going to say, well, they're going to ask you questions, not just what it tastes like, not just that can you describe what it tastes like, but where did you get it? Where did you buy it? Which seller do you prefer? Right? You're going to start getting, you're going to start being more challenged by the universe, because if you're going to claim something for so long, you're going to have to show up and represent it. Not because the universe is biased in that way. That's just vibrational. That's just vibrational resonance. So what I started realizing is I was not in resonance because I was not fully allowing myself to experience what I needed to experience. And so I had to start making choices that were a must, not a maybe. So I knew that it was a must for me to completely rebrand myself, rebrand my offerings, get help, doing everything differently. And when you start really accessing yourself from a state of abundance, when you start giving yourself permission to live in that cornerstone of faith, then you start discovering true prosperity and peace. But you have to be willing to be seen. Literally, like, I got to say this. I've said it for years, and I've had so many people project so much onto me for saying this, but now I'm witnessing it through my mentors, and I'm like, yes, fine. Like, I'm hearing somebody else support it. There are no secrets. I share everything all the time, no matter who it's coming through. Everyone that I work with is a lesson and an opportunity to share. If I cannot take what I learn in myself and in exchange with others and serve through that wisdom, then I'm just holding on to it as if I am the only one that deserves it. And we sometimes are like, well, I don't want people to know my business. I don't want people to know what happened. I don't want, you're trying so hard not to be seen because you believe that your life is such a secret. You're trying to keep your life secret. The biggest and most glorious gift you can give yourself is not just to feel, but to become familiar with the love of feeling and the love of sharing yourself. Because there is nothing in your life that everyone out there has not experienced in some way. Even if they have not even if it is not a lived truth, they know someone that has. We are all connected. So if you're trying to hide something, if you're trying to pose yourself, and this is, it even happens in somatic practices where people try to posture. They want to posture themselves. They want to be seen as having it all together. Deep breaths, spine straight. I'm in control. And I always say, pay attention, pay attention, pay attention. You don't need to be in control. Let go, let go, let go. You don't have to control it anymore. Let your body fall over. Let it shake. Let it convulse. Let it scream. Say what it is that you've been wanting to say, but you've been afraid to say. Say it to the person in the memory that you wanted to say at the time. But as a kid, you felt like you couldn't because you couldn't do anything because you were only 3 years old. And how could you keep somebody from abusing the person that you were witnessing the abuse happening to? You were 3. You were tiny. You couldn't do anything, but you blamed yourself for it. You blamed yourself and you felt that your voice was not powerful enough. You felt that it wasn't worthy enough. And so you started hiding your voice. You started hiding what it felt like. And so when you share your voice, guess what? That little part of you that you rejected, it can't come through. It's coming through. It's coming through. But what's happening is you're trying to keep it from coming through. But the truth is that your voice is all of you. And those that work with me know that. How many times have you guys tried to share with me? How many times have you tried to posture it? And there's been a reflection that stated, hey, you don't need to explain. Because Feeling is the biggest, most beautiful, bountiful blessing you can give yourself. That's why we have the senses. I want to invite everyone to really be with that and honor that. Okay? Feeling is not scary. It's the perception that it is that keeps you from going into it. You got to reinforce a different perception. You've got to reinforce a perception that says it's safe. And then you start going through the process of living through feeling to explore that safety. Hello and welcome, George. So again, for anyone that would like to explore this, I do have a free space. You are welcome to join. I just want, for anyone that's interested, I will share that in the description. Um, and if you would like to explore it, you're more than welcome, but please understand this, I am all about containment. I am all about boundaries. There are certain things that I will ask of you, not as much as if you go into like the donation space or the paid space, like where you're paying me for a session, but it is regulated. I want everyone to step into it and learn what it's like to receive that masculine type of structure that asks you more of yourself than you've been willing to do. Because I see that everyone is capable. You're all so capable. But we're so used to having people, like we're so used to knowing how to formulate our words. That's awesome, George. We're so used to having people support us because we formulate our words in a way where we trauma dump and we can manipulate them into feeling bad for us because we don't feel good because we're having an emotional breakdown. And so we say things in a way that it emotionally manipulates people so that they can do something for us in the way that we want, when in fact we have never learned that that emotional manipulation is exactly what is not supporting us. And I've learned this, and I cannot tell you how refreshing it is to know exactly what is expected of me and to be asked to meet that, not to meet that expectation as if it's something that's like big and overwhelming, but like it's just a little micro adjustment. It's just a little something different, just a little shift in perception, just a little daily application that maybe I've been aware I could apply, but I just haven't been doing it because I'm always procrastinating. Procrastination is an addictive behavior. It's a bypass behavior. So if you're interested, just let me know. I will have information in the description, my email. It's a WhatsApp chat and a the school app, if you guys are familiar with school. So if you ever are interested in going into the donation-based space, you pay for whatever you want. It's donation-based, that's what it means. And I now have that open to offering 2 somatic sessions a month for the group. Anyone that's interested in receiving can step up and receive. You can stay and witness others receiving as long as you want. There's a replay, a playback of that. You can go back and visit as often as you want. And there are materials to support you in between that. It's donation-based, so you pay what you want, and you have a whole month's access to it. I might bring through a little bit more depending on, how it goes and the demand. But as of right now, that's where we're at. And you also have what I bring through for free and all of that good stuff. So that's available if anyone's interested. You do have support, and I love I love being able to support people now, especially now that I have a better understanding of myself and what that gets to look like and feel like. I love guiding people into exploring their triggers from a space of curiosity instead of anger, fear, rejection. Um, it's let's say it's therapy through the nervous system and body. So you don't just, you don't come in there to trauma dump. Okay, if you trauma dump, I'm going to call you on it, but out of love, and I'm going to say, hey, babe, you're trauma dumping. Let's look at this. Let's pull it back in. Let's look how we can reframe it, because reframing is a superpower. So you're encouraged to share your story, to share your voice, but you're encouraged to share it from a space of that what I spoke about, responsibility. So if you're taking daily micro alignments, if you're incorporating the material, if you're stepping into the practice of the somatic experience, you begin to see what it's like to move differently through your reality in your body. This means that when you speak, you're bringing a different presence of yourself forward. You are aware of yourself when you're speaking. You're not just saying something in an expectation that somebody's going to give you something and tell you what to do and fix your problems for you. That's why talk therapy doesn't work. You're just talking. But in somatics, you're witnessing your entire body, its functionality, the slight subtle nuances of your eyelids flickering, your jaw cleansing, your attempt to posture your body. All those things are witnessed and they're reflected through me to you. And also, too, the way that you speak throughout it. Your own response mechanism could be coming from a space of emotional manipulation, and we recognize that. But in the free space, I share my own process. I share materials. I guide others. There are those in the space that share where they're at, their story, with their realization, so you get to see what it's like. I will give you back what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. If you do speak without thinking, then I'm going to ask you when you go to speak again, I want you to be intentional, because one thing this space is dedicated to is growth. If you come in there just trying to bullshit your way around, I'm not going to let you stay. And that's because it keeps it contained, it keeps it structured, and allows everyone to learn what safety really looks like. We've really never been called on our emotional manipulation and bullshit, right? That's why we still do it. I can tell you right now, I realized through my mentors how much I was emotionally manipulating my parents because I blamed them early on in life. I blamed them for so much stuff. Like I said, I have massive anger and resentment that I've carried through me my entire life. So when I began to really process and understand this, and I'm still going through it, it's a lifelong process, you guys. You don't just jump into a space, get a quick fix, learn something, and then, oh, you're good to go, you know it all. That's not how it works. If you're in the space right now and you've applied anything like this, and you think that you know everything, I'm going to tell you right now, you're bullshitting yourself, because you don't. I don't care how much you know. This is a lifelong process, because we're always taking in new information and learning our emotional standpoint. We are either in emotional manipulation or in emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a very, very high state of sensory perception and awareness. We could think of that as like the God state, which is emotional perception, which means we are neutral and responsive. Neutral does not mean that you don't feel. Neutral means that you feel everything, but you are not reactive to that feeling. It passes through you. You're aware of why, you're aware of where it begins, you're aware of the story. And then the memory that presents itself, should it need to play itself out fully, you have an opportunity to do that in as much as you can. And then you get to do that with someone else. You guys, I don't say this because it's not about me. I'm just saying this in general. If you've never worked with a coach or someone that can guide you in that way, please do so at some point in your life. You will not do this alone. You can't. It's impossible. I don't care how much you think you can. We have other people in this reality for a reason. And they reflect back to us parts of us that we're not willing to see. That's why we have relationships. That's why we have friendships. But a lot of times we hide ourselves in both of those areas as well. So I recommend it. And one thing that you can apply for yourself is to check in and see what addictive behavior, what is it that you are reaching for to suppress your emotions. Maybe it's weed, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's sex, maybe it's a porn addiction, maybe it's online chat groups. Maybe it's coaching certifications. I've gone through that. Maybe it's manifestation courses. I've gone through that. Maybe it's this emotional manipulation and procrastination. Okay. Maybe it's scrolling on your phone all day when you know that you could be doing something else. And it's an opportunity for you to start disconnecting, overeating, going into food. Your body will tell you what it wants when it wants it. So if you're just eating to eat, there's an unconscious factor to that. Or if you're forcing yourself to eat because you think you know what your body needs, but your body's still running around and it's still inflamed and it's still sick and it's still diseased, then it has nothing to do with the food. It never did. Addiction to exercise. There you go. Thank you, Becca. Good. That's an example from her own experience. An addiction to exercise, an addiction to going to the gym, an addiction to being seen at the gym. And yes, George, actually, I was planning on doing an example with Becca. So if there are those here that would like to witness that, I can take, and it's not going to be, because we're already pushing on an hour here, so I've only got about 30 more minutes with her. So it will be kind of quick, but I can show you guys what it looks like on this, like, I can touch on it with you. I want everyone to recognize, though, that this goes much deeper than what you're going to witness here. Okay, so Becca, are you still? Or is there those here? If you're here, if you would like to witness this, please let me know in the chat. And of course, Becca, if you're still open and available, please let me know. And just so you guys know, during it, I will be closing the chat off because there is no need to be active in the chat. Okay. 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 All right, my dear. Becca, if you don't mind, just log out and go back to the message I sent you and click on the live link where you join live, and let's see if it's going to work. If for some reason it doesn't, what I will do is I will offer a Zoom call or a school meeting if you guys want to join in through my school group, and I will do this with you guys on there. Okay. I will bring it through for you guys publicly for free to let everybody get a sense of what it's like. Okay, there she is. Good. Hello, beautiful. If you can hear me, welcome.
Hi. Yeah,
hello,
sure.
hello, my love. Oh, hang on, wait. Let me unlock. Hang on. Right. There we go. I had to disconnect the microphone. Okay, can you hear me?
I can.
Okay, good. And I can hear you. All right, you guys. 1 second. 1 second. Let me close this door really quickly. It's opening. The wind keeps pushing it again. So 1 second. See if I can get this to stay closed. Don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to try it. All right, come on. All right, there we go. Okay. Oh, absolutely, it is. Because one thing, and I want to, just tapping into what he's mentioning here is that when we are so used to being in a collective environment where we don't feel safe around other people because our nervous system does not know what it feels like to be so immersed in its own state of safety and security that we're self-seeking, self-soothing, we're chasing something. What this space offers you is an opportunity to see what it feels like to not be doing that. Hello, Teddy.
He's here.
Yeah, Teddy's checking on you again. We had a pretty intense session the other day, and Teddy was soothing Becca. Okay.
Is that
Becca,
like? Is this?
go ahead.
Do you want me to put it forward, front, or is this okay? Like side
Yeah, that
view,
would
or
probably be best. And if you don't mind, really quickly, because I had my my microphone plugged in, can you just go out and come back in like you did last time to reset it really quickly to
yeah,
see if that
yep,
resets it? I would thank you,
yep.
thank you. That way I can hear this a little bit better. Sorry about that, you guys. I hope that works. Okay. I keep forgetting about my microphone. Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm just trying to figure out where I can sit. That's all.
And for the camera, it's not, it's like just wherever I can see your face, and
I can
at
sit
least
on the
from
ground.
your shoulders down.
Yeah, I can just sit on the ground.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, you guys. I'm going to hello and welcome, David. I'm getting ready to offer a somatic practice and show people what it's like. So I'm going to close the chat off because that way it's really distracting. And I really want people to use this as an opportunity to turn into yourself. So obviously, yeah, absolutely, David. You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm you do not have to close your eyes during this, but for those of you that are familiar with this practice, I would encourage it. Or actually, no, I'm going to change that. Hang on. No, I don't want you to close your eyes. I want you guys to watch how I'm speaking into the sensations, like the subtle variants of the body, and what happens, and just pay attention to what's happening in your body when you hear me mention something. Okay. Just pay attention to that. Okay. All right, you guys, chat's closing off for right now. I'll open it back up when we're done.
Kidding.
Okay. Okay, Becca. So before we get started, Becca, actually, I want you to just take a moment, and what is something that is happening right now that's been in your awareness that's kind of brought up some emotional triggers, or an experience that's been in your awareness that you would like to bring to the forefront?
Mm,
And it doesn't have to be like today. It could have been in the past week, the past month, something that has been recurring.
the like not being chosen, that kind of
Okay.
thing. Yeah.
Okay. When you say not being chosen, what is that connected to? What situation, what circumstance, what event?
It's probably the one um with the masculine, which is most present at the time, at this moment.
Okay. So
Yeah,
the belief of not being chosen is coming back
yeah.
up. Has it what was the last time it came up for you?
Um, so I did, like, just all the time. It's like, like, yeah, just I did have I went up to this is the story, I guess. I went up to the car wreckers the other day, and he knows my dad, and
Mhm.
he golf, and obviously John said, "Oh, how's Becca?" And he basically said, "We don't we don't talk anymore." And that hit me hard.
So that's what he said to your dad.
No, that's what dad said to him.
Oh, that's what dad said to him. Okay. Okay.
Mm,
Okay. So as you're connecting to this right now, um, I want you to, first and foremost, I want you to follow me with some breaths, and we're just going to have that experience and that the emotions in the forefront. So I want you to take a couple of deep breaths in, just paying attention to your body, paying attention to the sensations in your body. Noticing what those sensations are. Maybe you're feeling some tingling, maybe you're feeling some prickling, maybe you're feeling some heat or some cold. Maybe some areas feel tight and tense, maybe you're experiencing pain. Just paying attention to what the sensations are. I want you to take one more deep breath in, and then we're going to go through the 4 count, 7 and 8 count, okay? Okay, we're gonna inhale for 4 through the nose. So go ahead and inhale for 4 and hold it. And I want you to exhale for 7. Okay, we're gonna hold it a little bit longer this time. Inhale for 4, hold it, and exhale all the way out through the mouth. One more time, in for 4, hold it, and exhale. And we were inhaling for 4, holding it for 7, exhaling for 8. Okay, now I want you to bring your hands up, put it behind your head, keeping your head and neck straight. I want you to look to the left with your eyes and just pretend like Teddy isn't there. Okay,
mm,
look to the left with your eyes. And remember, as soon as you get a yawn or a swallow, Then bring your eyes right back to the front. And then go to the right. And as soon as you get a yawn or a swallow, bring it back to the front. Okay. All right. Go ahead and release it down. There you go. All right. Now, with your eyes closed, I just want you to pay attention to your body. And as you're paying attention to your body, I want you to bring your awareness back to the sensations. I want you to pay attention to some of the most notable sensations.
My throat is really scratchy.
Okay. All right. What do you feel that scratchiness in your throat is representing?
Like
What is it?
not being able to say what I want to say, basically.
Okay. And we're just paying attention to the way the hands move. We're paying attention to the way the body moves forward, like it's trying to get something out. We're just paying attention to how the body moves. So when you feel into that, when you bring your awareness to that, do you feel any emotions are connected to that area?
Yeah, I do.
What do you feel is there?
Um, like almost like a pissed off comes to the forefront.
Okay, and I want to bring an awareness to the words pissed off and how there is a laughing, how there is like a, you know, of course we're aware of this because we've viewed it before. We're seeing that the words pissed off and laughing are coinciding. And also just paying attention to how you're moving with your body, the fidgeting, the reaching for teddy, just paying attention to the subtle motions, the subtle movements.
He keeps licking me.
It's okay. Just give yourself permission to allow it and give yourself permission to surrender to it.
Okay.
Okay. So bringing the attention, the awareness back to the throat, back to the pissed off. I know you mentioned the conversation between this gentleman and your father. I'm curious what else is there. If is that what's coming through there, or is there something else that wants to be spoken into?
It's also not, I guess, not speaking in case like I hurt people's feelings or they get angry at me, or just not being truthful about me.
What does not being truthful feel like?
Tense.
Okay.
My whole body is like kind of on fire right now, like
So if you're
sweaty.
okay, okay, good, good. Just paying attention to the wanting to regulate the breath, the posturing of the breath, the posturing of the body, attempting to regulate the nervous system. We're just paying attention to that, bringing awareness to that. So, if the body is experiencing tenseness around feeling that it cannot express its truth, if your body could express that truth, how would it express? Is there something that your body wants to do?
Um, it just wants to say like, why don't like yeah, why don't you choose me? Why don't you see me? What it's like, what do I need to do?
Okay. So, it feels like your body is reaching out for you?
Mm,
Okay.
of reaching out for like people.
Okay. Let's just be with that for a moment. Let's be with that tenseness. Let's be with that body reaching out for something. Let's be with the awareness of how the body wants to posture itself and how it wants to maintain itself in a tense position. And it's okay, just paying attention to that, acknowledging the subtle movements and the motions that the body is taking. So just being with that, allowing that. Does it feel like the pissed off anger is living through the tension?
It's like living through like, "Oh, how dare you say that to someone?" Like
Okay.
like how,
So,
like,
how are those words living in your body?
um, almost like shame.
Ah,
Like,
okay.
I feel like when he said those things, like, he spoke his truth,
Okay.
and
Okay. I want you to come back to shame for a moment. We really want to be with that shame. So, I want you to be with the presence of the shame. Where is it showing up in your body?
like, in my heart, like,
Ah,
here.
okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, allowing that, being with that, just honoring that. Does that shame feel like it is connected to something else as well? Is there anything else that wants to come forward from the shame?
This is just what's coming into my, like, is like, why are you asking people to choose you?
Okay. Okay. All right. Be with that for a moment, paying attention to the sensations in your body. Now, if the shame could move, if the shame could speak, what would it say and who would it say it to?
It would, it probably goes back to, like, yeah, like, why do you, it's got to do with my sister as well, like, why you, like, why do you like her more?
Okay. Okay. So accepting, and we just want to pay attention to the word probably, just acknowledging where there is an opportunity to really land in a greater state of security, just accepting that whatever's presenting itself is there to be seen, honoring that fully. So I want you to connect to that shame. I want you to connect to whatever story is coming up around your sister. I want you to connect to where that lives in your body. And I want you to tell me what is happening in that moment where your sister was chosen.
It's like I'm moving away from my own body.
Okay. What does
Like,
that
I'm
mean?
running, like I can feel myself almost like splitting. Like,
Okay. Okay. Just be with that for a moment. Let your body move in whatever way it needs to. Remember, just if you feel like that you need to posture, just release it. Allow your body to move. If your body was moving away, if your body was running away, how would it move? Let it move. Let it express. There you go. Now, what do you feel you're moving away from? What do you feel you're splitting from?
feeling the hurt of it and not
Okay.
trying angry about it.
Ah, okay. So let's focus on that. Not trying to get angry, running away from getting angry. Let's be with that for a moment.
That sits a lot more than what had been sitting.
Okay. So that feels like it's coming through more? Okay.
Mm,
All right, good. So I want you to be with that. I want you to face into how anger lives through you, acknowledging how the body wants to move. There's also something the body wants to do with the anger.
mm,
Running away is some of it, but as you mentioned, that's a split. What does that other half of the body want to do with the anger?
just wants to say something.
Okay. Okay. All right. Good. What do you want to say? How does the anger want to speak?
It's like, it's not my fault you don't have time.
Okay. We're just paying attention to the tenseness in the jaw, just paying attention to how the body is wanting to control and regulate. We're just paying attention to that, just relaxing into that. So, if you could say those words through anger, what would it sound like? If your body
Yeah.
could release it. It's okay. Just paying attention and paying attention how the body is wanting to divert, how the body is wanting to redirect, how the nervous system is trying to bypass it. It's okay. Just be with it. Remember, it's just you in this moment with your body. You're safe in your body. You're safe in your words. You're safe in your feelings. But that other part of your body wants to come in and wants to complete. So if you were in that anger, you weren't worried, you weren't thinking about anything else other than expressing that anger, what would that sound like? How would it feel like? How does this moment want to move through your body? How does it want to move through your voice? Surrender to that and allow it to come through.
What I want to do is run away right now, but um,
Okay. Okay.
I
It's
feel like
okay.
I'm just
It's okay. Just being with it, honoring it, allowing it to be seen, allowing it to be felt, acknowledging that this anger, it doesn't define you. Allowing it to be seen does not change who you are. I want you to go a little bit deeper into that moment, into that memory. And I want you to see yourself connecting to the person that lives with you in the memory. And I want you to tell me who's there. The first one that comes forward.
it's like it's like my whole family. Like it's me. It's me.
Okay. So what's happening?
Just by myself.
Okay. You mentioned your family was there. What
Yeah.
happened when it switched to being by yourself?
It's like I ran away.
Okay. 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 So I want to take an opportunity here because we want to honor where the body has been led thus far and also what's coming up. We're recognizing that part of you is still trying to run away and part of you is also trying to face it. Okay. So I want you to give yourself permission.
Sorry, my foot's gone numb.
It's okay. Just acknowledging how your body wants to move and how your body is presenting. I want you to stand in the footprints of your younger self.
Mhm.
That little girl that's learning who she is, that's learning about the world around her. That little girl that does not feel like she's being seen, the little girl that does not feel like she's being heard, the little girl that does not feel like she's being chosen. What's coming up in your body as you're hearing those words? That you were
I'm
picked second.
Yeah, that I'm trying not to blame. I'm trying not to blame,
Okay.
like, my or my sister.
Uh, and we can see
Was
that paying attention to the tension in the neck and how the body's wanting to avoid it. So just
mm,
bringing that into the awareness, allowing that to be seen. Why are you afraid to acknowledge the memory? What's really happening through the blame? What are you really afraid of in this moment?
don't wanna hurt them.
Okay. So let's take a moment to be with that and to recognize where that's going out. Just calling it back in, remembering you are the only one here right now in the memory, and just reminding your body that it's safe. Okay. So what we want to do with this is I want you to be in that space of feeling the blame or refusing to feel the blame, bypassing the blame. If you were in that blame fully, what would you say? Just putting a reminder here that the voice, the
What
throat is restricting. It's going to feel scratchy if the resistance remains.
I just keep, like, hearing it's not her fault.
Okay. What I want you to do is I want you to just simply be in a state of acceptance right now, just to be with all of the things that have come forward. This is something we're going to get to much deeper later on, but just acknowledging how the anger, the resentment, the blame, the shame, it's still being suppressed. The body is still trying to suppress it.
I know,
The mind is trying to control the
and then
body.
I feel like I'm letting you down by not being able to.
No, 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 don't go there. Bring yourself back to the body, paying attention to the sensations and the subtle movements. This is a beautiful, beautiful representation of what this process gets to represent. I just simply want you to be with what is taking place in your body right now, having an awareness of what is available, the memories that are available. And I want us to just come back to, as we're preparing to close it out, I want us to come back to the anger. This is where the resentment and the blame and the shame are stemming from.
It's
What
like
is it? Go
you
ahead.
should have still, yeah, you should have still been able to give me time. Even though you have heaps of stuff, like, even though you have my sister now, you should have been able to still give me time.
Okay. So does it feel like your body is
Yeah,
still reaching for that love and acceptance and
yeah,
time?
yeah.
Okay.
It's
If
now,
Go ahead.
and I guess, like, it's now, I don't know if this is relevant, but it's now, like, stemming onto the grandchildren. Like, they don't still don't have time.
Okay. So just paying attention to how the awareness is going into,
Stories.
well, stories, but stories that are pushing it out. And if we could just pull it back in fully, and I would like for you to be with one of those emotional experiences, whether it's the anger, the shame, or the blame, whichever one is most predominant in your body right now. And I want you to connect to the sensation in your body. Where is the sensation?
It's all here.
Okay. How does your body want to express that?
Wants to like chuck a little teeny.
Okay.
like
Okay.
like stamp my feet and
I want you to give
just,
yourself permission to just be fully in that and to feel that.
it's just like seeming like I'm here.
Okay. And what does it feel like when you're saying those words?
I'm cranky.
Okay. Okay, just being with that, honoring that, allowing that. And I want us to take a moment to connect deeper into that sensation. What is your body asking of you?
It wants to get it out. It
Okay.
just does.
Okay. So having an awareness that openly expressing and completing that emotion allows that circuit to complete. Okay. So what I want to say here for everyone that's watching, when we go into these memories and we start to fully feel the emotion, when we start like getting angry and we start crying, and those when those feelings come fully through and we openly express what that memory feels like, then the circuit starts to complete itself. Now obviously Becca, so Becca, as I'm closing this out, I just want you to take an opportunity and just wrap your arms around your body, love yourself, honor yourself, because you have done a beautiful job. Getting up in front of in a public live in front of people you have no clue, you've never met, is a big thing. The levels to this go much, much deeper than what I'm doing here. This is a very surface level. So, Becca, I just want you to just wrap yourself in love and acceptance. You have done a fantastic job in showcasing how it gets to look in terms of, and you can just look like, we're just looking at Becca's body language, just seeing the movements, the constant movement, the posturing, just all of those different things. And of course, it's not easy being on a public live and showcasing this and trying to just
No,
release emotions
I don't,
that you are still processing yourself, right?
yeah, I felt like um, yeah, obviously when you're doing it just with one on one, you don't have that in the back of your head. Like you don't
No.
have that back of like your mind.
Yeah.
Like I don't. So it's a lot
Yeah.
easier to just process that. But yeah, um,
You did a great job. You did a great job, my dear. Thank you for placing, I'll open the chat now. Thank you for placing yourself up here. Um, Thank you for allowing yourself to be seen. Um, Thank you for getting 1 second. Let me just block some of these people. Um, Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, I thought the chat was off, it was just hidden. But I wanna say in what you guys saw me guiding Becca through, so when we're on a one-on-one, obviously, and you're not having to worry about people watching, and even in the donated donation space. You're in a more contained space, and you've connected with the people in there, and they've heard your story and you've heard their story.
Mm,
So it's a bit more easeful to experience, but we go through the process. Now, obviously, if we were in a one-on-one, I would have pushed for those emotions to release way more than I did. I did
yeah,
not push. I moved around a good bit of stuff, and I know Becca knows that. So if we were in a one-on-one setting or even in the group setting, I would have pushed it a little bit more, not not pushing it to try to, be hard, but to encourage. So
drawing.
yeah, to draw it out. There would have been a lot more different prompts to draw the emotion out, to draw the memory out, because this is all connected to different memories. And when you start experiencing someone that is actually having an emotional release, that's when your body really starts experiencing the vibrational currency, like the vibrational alignment. So it's definitely something that goes a lot deeper. And so one thing, like for instance, when Becca was mentioning the anger and wanting to say these things, one thing like we get to do when we're in the memory, if I'm witnessing someone that I feel is wronging me, um and I wanted to just tell them, like, you don't see me, you don't see me, then in that, oh, good, beautiful Mina. Then there's an opportunity to just be like, you don't see me, you don't see me, you don't see me, or if you're witnessing abuse, you could be putting your arm up to try to protect yourself. Your body goes through an automatic reactive mechanism. Um, and I want to just also, by the way, commend Becca. This is a big deal for her. She is someone that used to never step forward to use her voice. She used to never, you guys, this is major. This is progress for her. She was the very first one to volunteer. And that's a big deal. We've been working together for a little while, and just her being here, offering herself for you guys, that takes a lot of courage. And it's not easy to let I know, because she has family that's stepping in to work with us as well. And I felt that that was the reason why some of the resistance was coming up, is
Yeah,
not wanting her to hear what you had to say. There's a lot of nuance,
yeah,
moments
you,
interacting there between
yeah,
past, present, and possible future. And I was
yeah,
sensing that, and that's why we didn't go deeper into it. That's something we get to do
yeah,
privately. But
yeah,
this is where you get to meet yourself. And in these sessions, in the one-on-ones, in the group, I am going to prompt you, and I am going to guide you in pulling it out. Okay. And this is something that will, once you start getting a feel for it, what gets to happen, it doesn't always happen, but it can happen. It's happened through Becca's experiences, and some others, is that you will start connecting further down your family line to memories connected to, like, your father and your father's memories, and like what your father went through as a child, what he experienced, because then you start seeing the correlation between how your father was raised as a child, if he was abused, if he was abandoned, if he was not chosen, and how that's passed down, or how your mother was abused, or how your mother was abandoned, or how your mother was not shown what emotional stability and availability was. And so, even if you don't know your parents' background, there are certain environmental cues that you've picked up on your entire life. And those will start coming through and activating through your own memories. And you will begin to experience the correlation from their state, like not from their state, but from, like, if you were them. Like, Becca had a major release in that regard through one of her parents, and she experienced herself as that parent as a child, and a lot of forgiveness took place. Now, there's so many layers to it, obviously, but there was a lot of forgiveness and acceptance that showed up, a lot of tears, a lot of processing, and that's because the vantage point shifted out of it's all about me to it's all about us. We've all inherited this. When it's about me, and that's how we remember things, is from the me perspective, right? The blame, the shame, the guilt. This is about me and what I feel. That's why the emotion has to complete itself. So the me does not feel so secluded. It doesn't feel so left out. It doesn't feel so judged. It doesn't feel so weighed down. So the me can become the we. And that's how we begin operating at a greater capacity, you guys. So I thank you all for being here. I thank you all for receiving this. For those of you that chose to stick around, it's a process that happens consistently over time. It's a process that, like I said, this was barely scratching the surface. I mean, barely scratching, if even that. Like, I mean, I'm talking like we didn't even get an nth into what this is, but at
No.
least you kind of get to see what it looks like.
Mm.
Um, in group setting, in private setting, I'm going to be pointing out a lot more subtle nuances in your body, in your reactions, and in your words. We just simply do not have the time or the space for that here today. So, if anyone is interested, I will have all the information linked. And again, I encourage you guys, especially if somebody is watching this on the replay, or if you were here and then you checked out and you came back, to be fully present with this type of opportunity, because it is offering you a true gateway into bridging your higher and your lower, because you guys, we come at everything from the top down. This process is from the bottom up. And this is what we have not been taught. We have not been trained in that, if you will. So I will, like I said, I'll have all the information in the description. I will leave my email, and I don't think, even if I put the links for WhatsApp or school, I don't even think you guys can click on them. So I'll just have my link to my, or I'm sorry, my email. If you guys are interested, email me. If you're following me on Instagram, Facebook, anything like that, just message me on there, and I will send you the links. I will want to talk to you for a moment just to be sure that you're aware of what is going to be necessary for this space to honor yourself and everyone in this space. Welcome, Constantine. So this means that there are certain boundaries, it's regulated, and that's to support everyone and honor everyone. So as long as those guidelines are abided by, then we're good to go. Okay. So yeah, I believe that's it. Thank you all again. I am so grateful to have had this opportunity to share with you. And remember, this coming week, pay attention. Pay attention to when you reach for your phone. Pay attention to when you avoid feeling. Pay attention to why, because that why isn't like you have to know the why in order to figure it out, but that why is a breadcrumb. It's leading you deeper. Give yourself permission to let go of one addictive action, whether it's your phone, whether it's doom scrolling, whether it's porn, whether it's group chats, whether it's trauma dumping on a friend, whether it's blaming your family, whether it's procrastination, whatever it is, set it aside for 30 days. Even if you start with just a day or two out of the week and you build yourself up, give yourself permission to start reinforcing yourself from a different space. Okay. And if you're ever interested, I'm always here to support you. Okay. I want everyone to have an opportunity to experience their nervous system as the gateway between themselves and God, between the physical realm and God. Okay. So yes, Teddy, I wish you could have seen him. No, I think you guys did see him mean it in the group one when Becca was releasing those emotions in that group one. Teddy was like, going like this to Becca. He didn't actually touch her, but he was like, I want to touch her, but I'm afraid to touch her because if I touch her and she's already crying, it might be bad. So he's like pawing at the air at Becca, trying to console her in the invisible air in front of her. It was absolutely precious. Teddy is always hanging out and supporting her. Um, yeah, Teddy's amazing. And he's always there he's always been there for all of our sessions. It's always been amazing. So, um, a wonderful thing. I'm so grateful, you guys, to everyone that is reflecting that this supported. I would honestly, I would love to go deeper. It looked like he was doing like hands-on healing, like Reiki, like cat Reiki, like cat Reiki. It was precious. But I would love to explore this with more of you. I have many that are already committed to the donation-based space where we will be doing this twice a month. And just keep in mind, if you do decide to join that, along with the free space, it's a contained space and we're there to show up together and support each other and to be fully vulnerable. If you come in there as a know-it-all and you try to prevent me from guiding you, then I can't help you, right? I can't help you. So I can only help you if you're an empty vessel that I can pour into. Like Becca's water bottle. If that water bottle had, like, I'm going to use another thing my mentor said. If that water bottle, if we had put dirt in that water and it had been sitting, that dirt would go to the bottom, right? It would build up and collect in the bottom. When we start pouring into you somatically, that water starts mixing up all that dirt, and that dirt starts coming to the top, and eventually that dirt starts pouring over till eventually we've poured so much into you that all that dirt and soot and nastiness is out, and it's just clear water. And that's the intention, but you have to be available to be poured into for that to happen. If you're not, if you're constantly pushing back with what you know, then you can't receive. You're a know-it-all. And know-it-alls don't reconnect to themselves with clarity. They're standing behind what they know about what's happening to themselves and everyone else. I know that very well because I have definitely taken that on for a good portion of my journey in my life, and it doesn't work. Okay. So, thank you all for those of you in my group. I look forward to our upcoming uh, um, session together. So if anyone, by the way, really quickly in closing, if you are interested in joining the donation-based sessions, we've already had one this month. I can share, that will be available to you when you join. Or I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry. We'll back up. No, that was free. I'm sorry. If you're joining the free space, we already have one somatic session that went pretty deep. It's still scratching the surface, but it's deep enough. We're gonna have one that's gonna continue to go deeper, but after that second one, then the next ones are gonna be in the paid space. So if you join, you have one that you can tap into and really get a lot out of. And if you would like to be there for the second one, that is coming up in this coming week on the weekend, more than likely. So, because I want to be able to reach those that can't make it during the week so more people can participate live. So, again, if you're interested, all my stuff will be in the description. You can tap into the free one coming up. And then, of course, you can transfer over if you're interested. I will still have free ones coming through, but the majority will be focused on the paid space because that's where the contract is really allowing more to be poured into. But there will be still more stuff, I offer everything for free too. So you guys will have access to that. Okay. Thank you guys. I love you. Thank you, Becca. Love you. You're amazing. You're
Oh,
magnificent. I commend you on your courage. I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
love
And
you.
yeah, you guys, thank you for being here. So I hope to see you guys in the next one. If you would like to access this, it will be under the lives tab and the replay will be available soon. Okay. All right, guys. Until next time. Adonai. Bye.